Greetings in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Hi, I'm Major Curtis Kratz from the Salvation Army of Rockingham County. Welcome to this edition of Clean Tuesday. As usual, the opinions I'm about to express are the opinions of myself. They do not necessarily represent the views of the organization I work for, my family, or my friends. And so we're going to get ready to go right into the topic. So let's get to this. I saw this meme the other day, and it really put a lot of interest in me. And here's what it said. It says, Pastor Greg Lott purchased a Barbie dream house, wraps Bible around a baseball bat barrel, and walks it down, and people wonder why people are abandoning religion in droves. So let's read this again. Pastor Greg Lott purchases a Barbie dream house, wraps Bible around a baseball barrel, and whacks it down, and people wonder why people are abandoning religion in droves. So let's talk about this for a second. Now, if anyone has been paying attention to me, there's a lot of people who are what would be defined as deconstructionist. Sorry if you're hearing those papers rattle. I'm kind of moving this over. And we've discussed some deconstructionist views. Now, I need to make sure I'm clear on this before I really get into this. I have no earthly idea who Pastor Greg Lott is. Like, I don't know much about him. So when I saw this, I thought, really? Why would you? Do you really care that deeply about a movie? Because that's the insinuation that this is making. And this is kind of the stuff that's being poured out there. But this goes back to, we need to be very careful what people are saying is happening. Now, like I said, I don't know who Pastor Greg Lott is, but I realize that he is somewhat controversial because he talks about demons and spiritual warfare, and some people don't like to have those conversations. Let me make sure I'm clear on this. As a Salvation Army officer, I definitely believe there is a battle going on for the souls of men, women, and children. I don't know if I theologically agree with anything Pastor Lott says because I've not heard much of what he has said. I want to make sure that I'm clear on that. Now, when you read this, the assumption it is making, like what you're trying to push, and I'm actually going to tag my friend who shared this because he said fighting the wrong battles. So I thought, well, let me go see if I can see a video clip of what this is about and what he's saying, because my natural assumption was this guy really had an issue with the Barbie movie. And if you don't know, there's this kind of viral clip of Ben Shapiro kind of throwing things and lighting stuff on fire. Now, of course, Ben Shapiro isn't a Christian man. Ben Shapiro is a Jewish, and anyways, it's kind of a viral moment, and because he just did not like the movie, right? And people are allowed to not like movies. I don't know that you need to go through the extreme of doing stuff like that to make your point. Some people may be having a bit of fun. They are allowed to do those things, and they have the right to do those things, whether you find that to be aggressive or not. So naturally, I thought what I was going to run into was the pastor talking about the Barbie movie and how the Barbie movie was a sinful movie, and about how you shouldn't watch Barbie. Now, full disclosure, I want to watch the Barbie movie. I didn't go to the theaters, but I'll watch it when it comes out on a streaming service, and I plan on enjoying the movie, and then I will determine if I do or don't like the movie. I will make that determination for myself. Nobody's going to do that. So I saw this meme, and I naturally assumed, because of how it is written, I want you to grab this. Pastor Greg Lott purchases a Barbie dream house, wraps Bible around a baseball bat barrel, and whacks it down. And people wonder why people are abandoning religion in droves. Now, here's the problem. People are saying this, and even my friend who said, fighting the wrong battles, well, if you go and you actually listen to the clip, this is what he says. Now, I want you to know that it's covered up in a blanket. So, right away, you cover it up. And at the beginning of the sermon, it's an hour-long sermon. I did not listen to all of it. He's not somebody I listen to, so I didn't listen to the whole hour. If somebody did, they are more than welcome to comment and say the things that he may have said and at what time frame, and I'll go. But he opens up and he's talking about the issue of dealing with things and not being able to escape sin. And he's talking about how sometimes people try to associate it with the enemy. And he's like, sometimes it's just us. So here's this guy who I read about who is very big on spiritual warfare, who's acknowledging that sometimes we are in our own way. We're not holding ourselves accountable. This seems like a pretty good message if my brain was shut off on who this guy was and any controversial thing he may have said in the past. Saying that we need to be accountable is not a bad thought, right? So anyway, so you kind of fast forward to the point, and I actually saw like the little Twitter clip. It took me like literally less than 5 minutes of research to do this, by the way. I don't think I spent more than 10 minutes looking this up. And I saw the video, and he starts talking about how strongholds in our life, and that the Greek word for, tearing down stronghold is to pull down, which means to demolish. These are the words he's saying. So in order to get rid of the stronghold, you need to demolish. And so he's going, okay, in order for me to get rid of this stronghold, I need to demolish it. Like, I need to, tear it completely down. And so he grabs the baseball bat and demolishes it and said, tear down that stronghold in your life. He was using this as an illustration to the people in his congregation, and he was telling them in order to get rid of strongholds, you've got to totally demolish it. You've got to put it down to the ground and get rid of it. Now, whether or not you agree with that message or not, it fits into what he's saying. Now, let me tell you what my issue is on this Clean Tuesday. The person who sent this meme is being extremely deceptive. Because, to my surprise, when this originally happened, it was the beginning of June of 2023. Why does that matter? Well, there might have been previews for the Barbie movie, but very few people had watched the Barbie movie at the beginning of June in 2023. As a matter of fact, everything that got wrote about that in June of 23 says Pastor Locke destroys Dollhouse, not Barbie Dreamhouse. You see where I'm going with this? This is what people will often do to Christians to try to say, see how bad Christians are, without even acknowledging their own deception. The person who wrote this knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly the people who would see it, and they knew exactly the people who would push it and say, see this crazy Christian pastor, and so we're going to judge everybody based on this crazy Christian pastor who doesn't like the Barbie movie. But the reality is the Barbie movie hadn't even come out yet. The Barbie movie was literally a month away from being released in theaters. I'm not even sure that they had viewings yet. I'm not a theater guru, so I don't know when they start to view, but I don't think that the Barbie movie had viewings, because the Barbie movie didn't come out till July. And now this person is writing and saying, oh, he destroys a Barbie dream house. So anybody who sees this meme thinks this pastor is actually talking about the Barbie movie, and it has nothing at all to do with the Barbie movie. And my friend, and like I said, I'm going to tag my friend. I'm not going to say who his name is. I'm going to tag a couple of other people. But my friend who said this is fighting the wrong battles. It's like, no, I think we should be fighting the battle of trying to get rid of strongholds in our life. Fighting and trying to get rid of the sin that is in our life that separates us from getting closer to God. The things in our life that are keeping us from getting closer to God. Now, I'm not telling you what you should define that as. I know there are Christians who define what sin is and what sin isn't. And that is not what I'm doing. But you know the things that are in your way, those addictions that are keeping you away from getting closer to God, that are harming you and your body, that may be harming others. So for instance, you may have an addiction, right? This is how interesting it is. You may have an addiction to not eating. He's like, did you hear me right? I was like, one person may have an addiction to not eating, right? That's not healthy. It's not taking care of your body. It's not good for you to not eat, right? That's something that can be in your mind and be kind of an issue that's holding you back. Or you can have a person who eats too much, right? And that can be a problem. And I want to make sure I'm clear on this, so I don't want people to mishear me when I'm talking about food. That has nothing to do with how one person weighs or doesn't weigh, right? That has nothing to do with weight at all, right? It doesn't matter. You can be the thinnest person in the world and you can still overeat, and the Bible tells us not to be gluttonous, right? That's something we shouldn't do. It's actually a sin that I have to kind of go, okay, Curtis, are you crossing the line here? Are you eating a little too much? Are you enjoying the fruit a bit too much? And I think that's important for us to understand, that this is what this pastor was talking about. Now, like I said, there might be something in the hour-long sermon that he had that is totally off base or not with it, but this portion, I believe, is deceptive of the person who sent it, because they intentionally put Barbie Dreamhouse. If you go, oh, well, they shouldn't have whacked down a dollhouse, I was like, for him, it was just a house, right? He was talking about demolishing it, right? And he was trying to use the illustration of demolishing a house on a stage. You know, he didn't actually go grab some mortar. It was going to be very easy for him to do that. Now, do I think you should wrap a Bible around a baseball bat? No. But all Bible is basically, you know, paper. So it's not necessarily the paper that is holy. It is the words on the page that are. It's those things that we need to understand in those books. And I think we need to understand that. So I'm not defending, I want to make sure I'm clear on this, I'm not defending kind of anything about what Pastor Locke did, but I find this to be a massively deceptive thing that is going around, and we need to be careful, and we need to call other people out when they do this. And like I said, I'm not necessarily calling out my friend, because I don't think my friend was intentionally being deceptive. I think he was deceived. Let me repeat that. I don't think my friend was intentionally being deceptive. I think he was deceived because, and I could be wrong, he may have known, yeah, I knew, I just don't think you should knock down dollhouses as part of your sermon illustration. But it had zero to do with the Barbie movie. It had zero to do with what was part of kind of this culture war. Is Barbie good or Barbie bad? It had nothing to do with patriarchy and matriarchy or any of those things that are kind of the conversation surrounding Barbie. As a matter of fact, those weren't things that were being discussed. It was literally about strongholds. And if you watch it, you would understand that. And I think if we're going to be believers who are going to be honest and have honest discussions, we don't need to use deception. And so that's my Clean Tuesday for today. I hope that you have a Christ-filled day. I hope that you have a Christ-filled week. If you have any topics that you'd like me to discuss, by all means, feel free to send them in. If not, I will talk to you next week.